Welcome to Family Basics 101. I'm Dr. Bruce McClure, and we will continue our five-part series looking at the relationships between men and women. Today, let's focus on the body of a man. When individuals think of the body, the physical body of a man, sometimes it is understood and sometimes even misunderstood to be a simple display of muscles, an exhibit of power, a show of craftiness, or a statement of one who conquers. So when the male presents himself or when he's in the presence of others, mistakenly people can see him just as a physical specimen of mass, a physical specimen of uncontrolled power, a physical specimen of just outwitting everyone around, and a statement of I am here to take over or to conquer. What do men in their physical form really do that it leaves a positive mark on the world? What type of influence do men leave behind? Is it positive or is it negative? When men stand their ground, do they stand their ground as a testimony of righteousness, or do they stand their ground with that show of muscle and power and craftiness just to prove their masculinity? When men stand, do they represent God in their stand, or do they stand in that strength to represent just an ungodly, unethical, immoral, masculine strength, masculine power, masculine I conquered this piece of property, or I conquered this individual, or I conquered this situation? So what do men really do with the body that has been given to them? And until that question is really satisfied properly, then the body or the presence of a man will go misunderstood. Let's talk about the importance of the male body. Number one, it shows the power of God over the earth. So the male body is to show strength. It is to show power. But it's not just to show the physical of the male. The man is to really represent the eternal, far-reaching, global strength, the global power, the global mind of God. God forms man from dirt. That dirt did not breathe. It was not productive initially. It was once void of any plant life. Nothing could survive in the dirt. There were no trees. There was no vegetation. But God was able to activate this earth and make it a productive place, a viable place, a place that was conducive for sustaining life. And from that dirt, he makes a man, the ruddy male. And that male shows every time he is around the power and the ability of God. Secondly, it shows the unlimited ability of an earthen vessel to do unthinkable and cause all creation to stand in awe of that masculine person. So the body of the man shows in an earthly tent, in something that was made from dirt. It shows how great the power of God can be exemplified. Man talked differently than anything that was created. Man walked differently than anything that was ever created. Man communicated across a wider range of creation. Man was given the responsibility of handling all of the birds of the air, the fishes of the sea, the beast, and everything that crept upon the earth. Man was given the responsibility, the task, the doable task of overseeing everything in creation. So we see within the body of the male an unlimited ability within an earthly vessel to day by day show the awesome power and the awesomeness of the God who created him. Thirdly, man, and every time man presents himself, he shows the difference in how the male responds to his woman Eve than all of the other creation. There are masculine and feminine genders of fish, beast, birds, and man is to show in a very visible way, a very modeled way, how the male loves, how the male communicates, how the male appreciates, how the male gently handles his Eve. The male is never to be seen beating up his Eve. The male is never to talk condescendingly to his Eve. The male was supposed to always model gentleness toward his Eve, and compassion and nurturing and respect for his Eve. And males throughout every generation that followed the Adam and Eve in Genesis 1 and 2 was supposed to show a relationship that was visibly seen by everyone that ever saw the male, of what that man's body was to, or how that man's body was to respond whenever he was in the presence of Eve. I want you to look at Genesis chapter 2 and verse number 25, and I want to do a side-by-side look at the male body and the female body. And the man and the woman were both naked, and they were not ashamed. You have the Ish, the male, and you have the Isha, the female, side by side. And the text says they were bare, naked. They were stripped and not disappointed. That means they had a mutual respect for each other's body. They had a mutual respect for the variation that was found between the two of them. Neither was from Mars or Venus, but they understood their bodies were both orchestrated, structured, and presented by the God of heaven. And with that, they were not ashamed of one another. They were not ashamed of the God who created them. And they were comfortable in their own bodies, naked. They understood who they were and where they come from. I'll see you back in class again tomorrow. Don't be late, and don't skip class.